Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Welcome to the third week of Party Like It's 1999 November here on the show. Later in the week, we're going to be talking about our latest pick, which is going to be 10 Things I Hate About You. So be sure you subscribe here on YouTube or in your podcasting app so you don't miss that when it comes out. We've been doing 99 movies all month long. We did the Sixth... No, we didn't do the Sixth Sense. That was unrelated.
That's 99, though.
But it did work. Yeah, it did work. It was just unrelated. Last week we did Mystery Men. We did Office Space. I'm all out of sorts of the order. Last week we did Office Space. The week before that we did Mystery Men. There we go.
There you go.
Better.
Now you're on track.
Now I'm back on track. And then, like I said, we got 10 Things I Hate About You coming out later this week. And we're getting closer and closer to Christmas, which means So Many Santas is right after that.
Busy times.
It's
Here.
almost
So
the end
many
of the year.
sequels.
Can you believe 2024 is almost come and gone?
No.
Yeah.
I guess if you ask that, it has both. You know, it's weird where I feel like we reach a point in our lives where the first half of the year is so friggin' slow. And then the second half of the year is so friggin' fast that I never know what kind of speed I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
Yeah, because those first 4 months feel like they take forever.
They can't.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
there's
the
nothing going
summertime.
on, really.
True.
There's not a ton of major holidays in those first 4 months of the year. There's the weather's usually just miserable because that's when it's usually super cold. We'll see. This year's already been off. I'm still waiting for it to get cold. We're mid-November
What
here.
cold?
Exactly. But if it's actually cold in the beginning of the year, like it usually is, it's kind of miserable. So we'll see. It'll be a lot of time for catching up on some movies we missed, I'm sure. Let's talk about what we've been watching this week. David, you've done it. You watched a couple older movies, right?
Yeah, one of them not too old. I rewatched Knives Out. That's sort of one of my favorite November movies now for no real reason. It doesn't necessarily take place in November, but it feels like a Thanksgiving time movie for some reason to me. Maybe it's all the sweaters. It's it's still great. Honestly, still love that movie. Can't wait for the next Benoit Blanc movie, which is supposed to come out next year. And so, terrific time. Recommend everybody watch it. Do you guys remember and we actually reviewed it for the podcast a few years ago, so you can go back and find that somewhere. I don't know what year we did that. Might have been 2022. Ugh, I don't know. And then I had some free time. I had most of the family out of the house, and so I watched a Western that I have a big list of Westerns that I've been trying to check off my list. And so I watched The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. So this is a John Ford film starring James Stewart and John Wayne.
Stewart.
Yeah, well, I told him, don't get out on it. There's a squirrel over there.
I know, Pilgrim, get on with it.
Yeah, and John Wayne in full, hey, Pilgrim attitude. Just a fun, honestly, I wouldn't call it necessarily a fun movie. It was just a very solid film. It's one of those classics where you go back and you watch films from the 60s and 70s, and there's way more time that they just take to do everything. Garrett, you and I had talked off camera about sort of allowing shots to develop as like a one take shot, and like the actors have rehearsed. That's a lot of this. It's like the actors come in, there's not a lot of cutting. They come in, they have their scene rehearsed and blocked out, and it's like you're watching a play in some respects. And from what the research I did, John Ford shot this one on a soundstage when normally his previous films he had shot sort of on location out in these big open, Western settings. This one he shot on the soundstage, and he shot it in black and white, even though black and white wasn't necessarily the thing anymore. Like color was there, but he really wanted to do a black and white film again, and so he went back to that. It is a very good story. I was really impressed, and I thought the performances were very good. It was a very engaging story, which I kind of like. I was ready to be kind of like, boy, this is going to take a long time getting in, but it kind of hooked me right away with there's a sort of James Stewart's character comes back into town. He's been a senator for a long time. People think he's going to be the next vice president of the United States. He comes back to town, to his old hometown for some reason, and everybody's like, "Why are you here? What are you doing here?" And he's going to bury a friend of his, and they're like, "Why are you here? Why did you come here now to bury this friend? Who is this man to you?" Right? And so
is he the man who shot Liberty Valance?
He tells the story, yeah, of his experience with John Wayne's character and Liberty Valance and all that. So, fun movie. and something different. I had a couple hours to myself, so I checked that out.
Nice.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
No, I haven't either. I'm sure my grandpa is a huge John Wayne fan.
Yeah.
A lot of old westerns are off my list. I haven't seen it.
A lot of people say this, and I think it is true, is that if you really want to understand a lot of today's movies better, you need to watch the movies that influence the people who are making movies today. And this is a big part of that. Like, I think that watching a movie like this, watching anything that John Ford did, I think gives you a much bigger clue as to what Steven Spielberg does, because he always cites John Ford as one of his biggest influences. So that's one of my big goals over the next few years, is to go back to watch more movies from the 70s, from the 60s, from even further back, and hopefully to kind of expand my film horizons a bit more. So
nice.
Good week for me in that respect.
I feel like westerns in general are a really good genre to show. I think that's one of the. There's not a ton of westerns that are released nowadays, but I still feel like when they are released, that they are the ones that do a good job of reminding you what the art of movie making can be. They take time to let you feel the western skyline or the sunsets out there in the land, and really be a part of that, and they don't just rely on, I mean, in the action sequences and everything, they still rely on cuts and things like that, but they let those shots breathe and things like that, and you don't get that a ton anymore. It is just like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And so it is nice to go back and see some of those older movies, or movies that pay attention to those kinds of things and let those shots breathe and let the artistic aspect of it really shine. So, I'm glad that you can find something in those older movies to get your attention, because sometimes it can be hard.
Yeah, sometimes, because just the sort of reconciling how we watch movies today, they're so fast-paced. Even when they don't have like tons and tons of cuts, they're just very fast-paced. There's a lot. The editing of these kind of projects has come a long way to make them, in most cases, feel much more fluid. And sometimes you go back and you watch an older movie and you're like, man, I can't believe that this is a scene that they're showing. How was this scene not deleted? This is a long sequence that seemingly has nothing to do with the story. How is this still in? I've had a few of those movies, but yeah. Anyway, so that was my week. What about you guys? You guys check out anything?
Nope, not a thing. Not one single thing did I watch.
Oh, you put that in the notes.
I guess technically I watched a few episodes. Again, I'm continuing my journey of the Drew Carey Show rewatch on Plex, the streaming channel of Plex.
Josh, did you talk about the one you watched, the Drew Carey?
No, but I was gonna. Gonna. Where are you? What season are you in?
I think I'm about to wrap up season 2. I'm still pretty slow going. Which one? It's not like I have seen every episode probably.
Well, I know, but I'm just. So I was messaging David the other night because I saw the one where Drew wins the Batmobile.
Oh,
you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And it is an incredibly stupid, so much fun episode where the opening is like Drew just doing all these ridiculous things because he's like, "There's no way I won anything, so I must be dreaming." And he like kisses Mr. Wick and just like does all kinds of crazy stuff. It's super funny. Lewis and Oswald dress as Batman and Robin at some point and get brought home by the police.
Yeah.
Drew and Mimi blast off in the Batmobile. It's fun.
God, their dynamic is just really funny, and I really enjoy the banter that they have with each other, and they all are just kind of like, they all get their moments to win when they are making fun of each other. And so some of the humor doesn't, you can see how it doesn't hold up if you want to, but like there are also moments where it's like, they all get a chance to shine. Drew makes fun of himself. Drew makes fun of Mimi. Mimi makes fun of Drew. Mimi makes fun of me. It really, they do a good job of spreading it out to where it feels pretty even. So I have really enjoyed it. Craig Ferguson, man, he is so funny in everything. Everything he's ever done, he's always the funniest version of it. Whatever it is, he has done it better than you or who is doing it currently, probably. So I love him so much. And his bad British accent is just absolutely beautiful. He is just every time he gets the scene, he steals it, and I love it so much. So that's what I've been watching whenever there's just a spare moment and I just need a second.
It's a good one for that reason. I went and saw the new movie A Real Pain with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. And this was also written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. So that was cool, just knowing going into it. And I really, really enjoyed it. It's a quick 90-minute movie. It's not very long, but it's about, so they're Jesse and Kieran are cousins who are kind of they're not super close anymore in their adult age, but they kind of grew up together. And anyway, their grandmother has died, and so as a way to honor her, they want to go on a kind of like Jewish heritage trip through Poland, where they're going through all these historic places through Poland, including concentration camps and things like this, with other people. It's like them with a group of maybe like 5 other people and a tour guide kind of traveling throughout Poland. And it's really funny. It's really touching. Like, there's a lot of really good dramatic moments because you see a lot of... They're almost like an Odd Couple situation. Jesse Eisenberg is as neurotic and kind of like high-strung as he usually plays. And Kieran Culkin is very like manic all over the place. Sometimes he's like super chill and cool and funny, and sometimes he just like loses his cool and freaks out on people, and you are just like seeing them come back together as cousins, rediscover their family, and all this stuff. It's good. I liked it a lot. It's 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Wow.
It's one of the rare movies where the half star is deducted because I could have used maybe 20 minutes more.
Ooh.
Fair.
More time.
That sounds great. I really am excited.
I really recommend it. Like, it is, you're going to laugh a lot. It's super funny, and you're going to just be really touched a lot, too. It's
Who is it again? It's Kieran Culkin and who?
Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
My family
and Jesse
grew
Eisenberg
up very...
wrote and directed.
That's awesome. My family grew up very close to our cousins, and the driving force was our grandparents. And the death of the grandmother was a tragic one for us. And so that sounds like it will make me cry almost just based on that summary. So
It will. I did. I laughed as much as I cried. So, like, it's one of those movies that hits both emotions, and I like that. It didn't leave me feeling just like utterly hopeless, like some movies do.
That's good.
So that's the main thing I watched this week. I've mostly been catching up on TV and some other things like that, but a real pain. I definitely wanted to get on here and recommend to people. It's good. Pretty good.
Very cool.
Pretty good. But let's get into some news now, because I'm super excited about this. Well, I think we all are, because we are desperate. For years we've been desperate for any good reason to watch the Oscars besides just the fact that they're there. And they have finally, maybe for the first time ever, made a good choice by... they've hired Conan O'Brien to host the next Oscars, Sunday, March 2nd. This is Conan's first time ever hosting the Oscars, which I had to double check because that is shocking to me, because he has hosted the Emmys several times, I think, early in his career. He's hosted several shows, and just crazy that he never got around to the Oscars, or they never asked him.
He's not a movie star. He's on TV.
You're right. But ever since several years ago, when we had that whole debacle with Kevin Hart, and then it's like, then they were like, you know what? Fuck hosts. We'll have no host. And then that was weird. And then they've had no normalcy since then. And this is the first time where I have seen like universal praise of like, no one dislikes Conan.
Exactly.
Except for older people who don't understand.
Well, you're right.
They don't like Conan.
And they're all dying.
I don't understand.
But the good thing about Conan is, at least from what I can tell, he is not one of these people, these especially male late night hosts, who draw like this intense ire from one side of a political spectrum. Because even though he's done some political humor in his monologues throughout the years, he's never like made any one side a target or anything. And it's not like he's you listen to his show, his beliefs aren't really a secret. But people don't just like, people associate Jimmy Kimmel with hating Trump. That's just how it is. And so that's always going to be a thing. And Conan comes in and like, I don't know, I don't think either side hates him.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Time. Give one side some time, and somebody's going to hate
seems
him.
like the
he's
right
done
choice.
well so far. He's done well so far.
Well, and Conan's like having this crazy renaissance of the podcast and his new travel show, and now he's hosting the Oscars for the first time post late night career. I don't know. I still want to be him when I grow up. That's all I can say.
No, for sure. I can't wait for this. Conan is the best. He's going to be, I have no doubt, it's going to be hilarious. His opening monologue will be funny.
It's going to be weird, y'all. It's going to be an Oscars like we've never seen, I think.
Yes.
Because if they let Conan be Conan, he is going to be like, what can we shake up?
Yeah,
what can we do different?
Well, Conan always finds a way to deliver, and he always finds a way to, like, he can make fun of people without people feeling bad about it, you know? Like, he'll...
Yeah, I think that's why he does so well with just like general audiences with politics stuff. He's good at just targeting everyone, and typically Conan's biggest target is himself.
Yes, that's true, is that Conan has always been the thing that separated Conan, and I think people have said this for years, this is not breaking any new ground, but the thing about Conan that separated him from like a Letterman or a Leno or a lot of the other hosts of that time period is that he was always willing to go out and be the joke as opposed to just make the joke, you know, like he's very silly. Has a lot. He and his writers have come up with really crazy ideas. If you want to watch a recent Conan thing, a fairly recent Conan thing, where I think it'll give you a good tease of what we can expect, is watch Conan's sort of
Hot Ones.
Well, you can watch Conan's Hot Ones. You can definitely watch that. I was gonna say Conan spoke at the Mark Twain Prize award when they gave it to Adam Sandler. And it's hilarious. The way that Conan tells a story and the way that Conan sort of like roasts Adam Sandler about being receiving a Mark Twain Prize from the Kennedy Center, it's hilarious. So I highly recommend looking up that bit. Anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It sucks that we have to wait till March. I'm actually disappointed that I have to wait now. I know, now
there's a good reason. But I'm still at the point where we're still pretty amateur at this whole part, but I have no idea what it would even be in the realm for Best Picture this year, and it's already mid-November.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yeah,
I feel like Dune 2 is going to get nominated.
It might.
Was Dune 2 nominated for the last ones?
I don't remember, but with up to 10 possibilities, yeah, it seems likely it might be in there.
Inside Out 2, going to be a lot of sequels.
Yeah, I could see Inside Out 2 just because of, I could see that. But
that should be a good episode for us to do before we find out. We should do our
predictions.
When we do our end of year, maybe we should do our early Oscar predictions.
Yeah, for sure.
Future us, make a note.
Noted. And then there's not a ton of news to discuss here, but we got another sequel off and on the calendar. Disney's pulled a upcoming Star Wars movie from
tentative Star Wars movie
from the 2026 calendar, because at this point Disney unannounces more Star Wars movies than they announce, and they've replaced it with Ice Age 6.
Clamoring.
The people clamoring for Ice Age 6. Yeah.
I guess I have two thoughts on this. One, I'm sort of like in a sort of a down turn on Star Wars, not because I think that anything they've done is bad, or I think that anything they've done has been like, oh, they've ruined Star Wars. I don't think any of that kind of stuff. I just kind of feel like every now and then Star Wars should just take a long break. Should just take like a 5, 10, 15-year break and just relax. And then on the other half, Ice Age 6, man, come on. Well, I don't know if they even should have made 5 of those. The first Ice Age is just 3 men and a baby, but in prehistoric times. And then they've managed found a way to make 4 more of those suckers.
Yeah.
And a Disney Plus special.
They're only going to see it because of that squirrel. That's it. The only reason. It's the same general print. Like, that squirrel is the Minions of the Ice Age universe.
Exactly.
And that is the only reason why these kids like the Minions, is because they
That's
scream
so good.
and they
I'm gonna
scream like them. And that squirrel
did.
is just the thing that nobody can name any of the other characters in Ice Age, and nobody knows what else they are.
I think
except
Scrat
that dang squirrel.
walked
Scrat
so
is
the
the
minions
only
could
thing.
run.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my thing again, going back with Star Wars, is they fall into the Marvel trap but worse, because less people have read their canon. And so there's so many characters that just people don't know, and they're not going to invest in, because it's like, I gotta watch like this one and that one, and I've barely even seen Star Wars movies, so like I'm not gonna watch the shows. But at least, Marvel at least can pull from years of comics, and there's likely that somebody read them, that even if it is small, whatever, and they're big enough at this point in time. But like, again, the lesson that no one's learning, agreed, David, is that less is more. Stop cranking it out every 2 seconds. You're going to hurt yourself, clearly. And that is what these studios are running into. People are tired of Star Wars. People are tired of Marvel. Give me other stuff. Or take a break.
I would actually argue that what they're doing is worse than that, which is that they're actually not making any fucking Star Wars. They just keep saying they are and then taking it away from people the last minute they get. Like this, I'm going to keep harping on this because I think put me in charge and heads are going to roll at Disney, because they are doing such a bad job with fans. This was the top comment on Reddit of this story. And I think it's, to me, it's undebatable. When Disney keeps delaying all their Star Wars movies that they announce way too early, it looks horrible on them. Everyone now does not trust that Disney will actually make any of the Star Wars movies that they announce. All we know for sure is that we are getting a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. That was all pretty much done without us knowing too much, which is how these should be done. And then someone jokingly put, they've announced 4 trilogies since you posted this, that's how it feels. Like, we got to quit making excuses for these fucking billionaires who can't run a damn company. Yeah, that's my rant. Fire Bob Iger, fire Kathleen Kennedy. No laughing. Fire them. Fire them. They're doing a bad job.
They really need to stop announcing projects that they don't have written. They need to stop. And look, I don't mind the idea of like you want to say like, hey, we're working on Star Wars and but
they're incapable of that.
We're Lucasfilm, and we're trying to communicate. We're trying to get in touch with notable directors and find out what kind of projects they'd like to work on. Okay, fine. But don't announce that, you got a Taika Waititi movie coming out in 2027 when he hasn't even written it yet, which I don't think they've done that, but
I can't keep track of what's going on.
But like, yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like you said, Garrett, Star Wars has so much less to work with in terms of just being able to do anything. Like in theory, they have a whole universe of ideas, right? But they don't. Like, the majority of people, the hyper majority of people have maybe seen a Star Wars. They haven't even watched all 3 of them. So like it's you have to keep it contained. Even with Marvel Studios, they have, like you said, 60, 70 years worth of content that they can mine, and they can reinvent stuff and make stuff work in new ways. But like even that has its limit. Even that eventually is going to hit its point where they have to go, okay, we got to start over. That's why we've had, 5 different Batmans in 40 years. That's why we've had 3 or 4 different Spider-Mans in 20 years. Like, eventually you just kind of hit the limit of what you can do cinematically. So I don't know. It's the solution to me is not to greenlight Ice Age 6. However, I do, I'm all for it. If you don't have something, don't set some kind of arbitrary date and say we're going to have it made by this point when you haven't even started the writing process.
Yeah.
Get it written first and then announce it.
Right. That's what I'm not getting. It's just like, it seems like bad business all around.
Yeah.
I get that a lot of these announcements are for investors to understand what's coming, but at the same time, if I'm a Disney investor, I'm like, do I pull back now because you have been making these promises and then you keep moving them back? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't know anymore, guys. The vision is not there for me. I don't see what vision Disney has. I don't think they have one.
Oh,
yeah. No,
they do.
I think that's a fair point.
Guys,
is that the vision?
Is make us as much money as humanly possible with whatever we've got. Make 16 of them. It'll make money. It will. We don't have to spend a lot on it, and it'll crank out $90 million. All right, let's do it. That's it.
I mean,
that's all we gotta do?
Unfortunately,
Okay.
that is and that's not really so much a vision, so much as it is a statement. That's what they're committed to at this point. Is like, we don't care if creatively a lot of people reject the idea of these live action remakes of our classic cartoons. We don't care if creatively a lot of people are uninspired by our output of Star Wars films. As long as people show up and they make a $250,000 in the first 3 weeks, or they make half $1 billion or whatever, good, fine by us. Now you
That'd be
gotta
great if they were
square
doing
away.
that, but they're not doing that, you guys. We've talked also about how they cannot get their fucking spending under control. Their movies don't make money. They
Yeah,
don't.
and that's
Disney
the hard.
Plus is like one of the biggest money sinks ever made.
Yeah, and that's where the idea is not meeting the execution. Like, that's their idea. And if your idea is, hey, it doesn't matter what we make, we're going to make money. Okay, cool. Well, if that's your idea, you can't be spending a ton on everything you do, but they're spending 200, 300, $250 million on every project. Well, that sets such a high bar for what your your things have to do. Now, every now and then
How do
you're going to
three
have
jokers
something.
in Oklahoma know this? I'm very frustrated with the seeming lack of common sense everywhere.
Yeah, every now and then you're going to get lucky with like an Inside Out 2 or a Deadpool and Wolverine, which had high budgets and exceeded the budget limits they would have to make. Those both did that. Incredible. You can't count on that to happen every time. Now, the one thing I'll give Disney is that despite the fact that this is their process, they make a lot less movies than everybody else. I know that sounds strange, but like I think they have like 8 theatrically released films this year, and you look at like Sony and they have like 38. Like, Sony makes a lot of movies. Now, the thing is, they're not all based in like 3 universes. They're all over the place. Disney has like 4 things they're focusing on, and it's like Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and I guess their own animation department. They have nothing else going on in that realm. So, yeah. So that's our railing on Disney for a little while.
Yeah. It's always earned. Always earned. I just want my Star Wars back, but like the way I want it, damn
Hang on
it.
1 second. Well, I just want to take your time, be thoughtful. If you have something written, you have something you can actually pitch me, that's fine. But like you said, Josh, I think the point you made was they make these announcements not for fans. They announce these dates for investors so they know that there's something that they can, stake their money in. And so, like, almost as fans, we have to ignore these things, which is a terrible onus to have to put on us, that we have to, like, ignore these investor updates because they're subject to change. They make those points so that people who have money can go, okay, here's where my money's going. Here's the potential for my returns. But like you said, Josh, they can't even count on that at this point.
Yeah.
I don't even agree with
door.
that. You're putting the onus on the wrong person because it is not on us. They go out of their way to make all of these announcements so freaking big that it is impossible to
absolutely go
miss.
out of their way.
So they are the ones who are like, look at what we're going to do down the line. That could be in an email. Bro, that could be an email to the investors. Hey, here what we're looking at down the line in 2026, 2027, 2028. We're not ready to announce yet because we're still finalizing some things. But just so you know, we'll keep it on the DL. And then whenever we're ready and when we know more, then we'll make more, things.
I think that's what
trying to get their social media pops off of these announcements that aren't finalized.
I think that's what they'd like to do. I think if they could, they wouldn't tell the public much of anything.
You are out of your damn mind trying to defend this company that you love so much.
I'm not defending anybody. But I'm attacking somebody different. What happens is you have these. What's the right word? You have these grifter accounts that go in and they scour every detail that Disney does or every detail that Warner Brothers does, and they look for all this stuff. Oh, look, they've secured a date for an unknown movie in January of 2027. Here's the possible movies it could be, and they do that to rile up fans to get them angry about stuff, and they just grift off of people who want to know the information. And I think that if some of these studios could, they wouldn't announce this stuff, but it gets out. And then they have to backtrack later or whatever. Like we live in a atmosphere where everybody wants the information, and there are people who will take advantage of it, even if it's not finalized, even if it's not true. I mean, how many times do we see these like threads or Twitter posts from in the past for people who used to use Twitter, where people will just be saying stuff and their sources like, oh, trust me, I heard from a source that this is going to happen in this movie, and like nobody from these companies or these studios have said anything about that, but they're like, oh yeah, they're going to have blank in this movie. And everybody goes like, oh man, it's too soon. And then people get riled up over something that somebody just said online. I don't know. So like, I really wish that the studios could find a way to reel back all this stuff. I don't know if they can, because people are just out to find this information, whether it's there or not, or leakers or whatever.
Yeah. I might have some sympathy there the next time they don't make it a gigantic like conference with laser light shows and shit.
Yeah,
Like
well,
D23 and all that crap.
Yeah.
Like they want it to be a thing.
That's stuff
want
they
it to
want
be
the
seen.
fans in there for. That's for
But
sure. Like, when they did
D23
the
is an
D23
investor
stuff,
thing.
Yeah, when they make it like a whole show, song and dance, there's no way around that. I mean, they invite journalists to come to that.
And that's what I
But-
think that I think we were talking about two different things. Where yes, I agree that people should take onus and make sure that the facts that they find on social media are true. We'll say that forever. I am saying that Disney is calling these meetings and saying, "Here are all the things that we're going to do in 5 years," and then in 2 years they're like, "Oh, wait, never mind." So that there's different things there.
I'm with you on that. I think two people can be in the wrong at the same time. I think Disney needs to stop doing these kind of things where they announce movies they don't have actually written, or at the very least have an agreement with to get made. Definitely don't announce a date if you don't have a date that works.
Yeah, because
And then I think that
it's just not, it's not even always these creators. Like we're talking about like varieties reporting stuff that Disney says and then it ends up not being true. Like someone else pointed out in this Reddit thread that Daisy Ridley did an interview about this Star Wars movie 2 days ago, and now they've pulled it. Like it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing, is what it is. Actually, it's flat out embarrassing.
Yeah,
It's yet
they need to
another
get there.
actor who, like, I feel like they're brimming up all of their big stars to sue them later.
Yeah. No, that's something that the studios need to get under control. I think the journalistic side of this, the media side of this, needs to, like, I don't know, almost like if they announce this kind of stuff, we need to like just stop caring, stop making a deal out of it. Until the movie is coming out, I don't care. Until you have a trailer to show me, I don't care.
Speaking of movies that are out, let's talk
Yes.
about this runaway box office dominance of the swollest Santa you ever seen.
Yes, the hierarchy of Christmas is about to change.
So Santa Claus flick Red One opened the box office this week with $34.1 million. It's starring Dwayne, The Rock Johnson, J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus, a.k.a. Red One. It's also got Chris Evans playing a guy. Playing some kind of tracker or something. I don't know. He's like, I'm the best
Tracker
guy in the
on
business. I can
CBS.
find anybody. And then starring a CGI polar bear. I really, really, really thought maybe we should do this for So Many Santas, but I just don't know. I mean, it came out this weekend, and I feel like they should have waited like a few weeks, get closer to Christmas. But what do I know? It looks dumb. It looks stupid. All the reviews have confirmed such notions. But I do feel like it would probably be a lot of fun in the way that like Jingle All the Way was fun when we watched that. Like, man, this is kind of goofy and kind of dumb at times, but still like, fun with friends.
My favorite part of this movie is that it stars Entertainer of the Year, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, a year after he got his sitcom canceled and like everybody was kind of tired of him, and then he had to go back to WWE to get his kind of like relevance back. Not that I'm calling out The Rock or anything, because that would be really stupid. I just find it funny.
It is. It's almost like this movie came out a year too late. In fact, it was originally supposed to release December of last year, I believe, but got delayed due to The Rock. So after that, you have another movie, maybe the okayest trilogy of all time. Venom: The Last Dance is at number 2 with $7.4 million in its fourth weekend. At number 3, you have The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Good little Christmas movie there, starring Pete Holmes. Maybe Zooey Deschanel. Who else is in this? I don't know. It's brought in $5.4 million. At number 4, you have Heretic. This is the Hugh Grant sort of religious horror movie, brings in $5.2 million. And at number 5, The Wild Robot brings in $4.3 million. Good strong hold for The Wild Robot. This is a very well-performing movie this year.
Why am I reading that part of Red One's delays were because The Rock was always late and that he admitted to being late all the time, and also that he would pee in bottles on set?
Yes. So, yeah, you haven't been keeping track of this? So apparently The Rock has a habit of, in order to avoid having to leave the set, he would just pee in bottles sort of in the corner somewhere, and then, hand that to someone to take away.
That's weird, Dwayne.
It's too much. It's too much, Dwayne. And he's admitted to doing it, although he didn't. I guess he was like, yeah, I've done that. No. Yeah, but he is just chronically late, is what a lot of people who worked on the project would said.
I hope whoever gets that bottle sells it on eBay. I hope they sell it.
Who's his piss handler?
I don't know.
Who collects the piss bottles from him? And what are we
He's
talking about?
collecting the
Water
piss for the
bottles? Are we
final
talking
boss.
about gallon jugs? What are we talking about?
I mean,
So
you've seen
I-
the way he eats.
He's a big man.
That's what I'm afraid of. What, you know? Is it just like, I can't. Anyway.
So many questions.
It's like one of those.
So
one
many
of those.
questions.
What are the name of the tumblers that the girls carry these days?
The
you know,
Stanleys?
The
Stanleys.
Stanleys.
He's
like
got a
Stanley.
bunch of Stanley cups full of piss.
Ugh, keep
Okay.
it warm for hours.
Anyway, that's enough for this episode. We've got a movie, 10 Things I Hate About You, coming up later this week. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, So Many Sequels, or in your favorite podcasting app. We're on all of those. We're currently at 321 subscribers. Help us reach our next goal of 343. I don't know what that means. I didn't set it.
I
What's-
just put it in there.
Okay, you just put it in there.
I just picked a number that sounded like fun.
Perfect.
It's a
Well,
palindrome.
343 is our
Same
next
forward as
goal.
backwards.
So help us get there by subscribing on YouTube. Follow us online. You can go to SoManySequels.com, see all of our past episodes, as well as links to our social media channels. And that's it. We'll see you all next time.